I support women's rights, but I also support women's wrongs. Cinder.
Thank you for joining the Escape With Me Book Club. Escape with me, Sam Ronick.
And me, Danielle.
Into our most recent read. Come with us as we evade reality and go into detail about a new book. We'll be covering the book from beginning to end, so there will be spoilers. Today we are going to the moon. Published November 10th, 2015, Winter is the final main installment of the Lunar Chronicles series. The war is upon us as we look at our final grim fairy tale, Snow White, with 823 pages and 97 chapters. Does the book wrap up the series while giving Winter her due? Or is this book spread too thin? Literally, my wrist was hurting holding the book for long periods.
It's heavy. You think Cress is heavy. You think Cress is a good, solid, that's a little too long. And then you get to Winter, and it somehow is more.
The Cress episode, I was complaining about the length, and this one's, I'm just, you poor spring child. You did not know what you are in for. Cress seems like light beach reading at this point.
Cress is so cute.
Yeah, so you read this like 6 times?
Yeah. Well, this is the 3rd time I've audiobooked it.
So how does it feel 6 times later?
I love it. It definitely is. Well, Scarlet for me is mostly a skip, so it's not my least favorite because obviously that's Scarlet. No shocker to anyone who has been on this podcast with the rest of the series. But I don't know, Winter just doesn't hold up for me, but it ties up so many nice, cute, loose ends from the whole series that you can't stop at Cress.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you read a book, a series, and you're like, okay, well, that's done, and I'm never going to the final one. Specifically the Divergent one, you can stop after the second one. You're fine. You're done. You don't. But with this one, you have to just get through Winter. It's nice. I love it. I do like the whole series as a whole. But Winter, definitely, whenever I realized audiobooks existed, this is an audiobook for me. I don't know if I ever will physically read this book again. I mean, I own it, so I probably will at some point, but
it's a lot.
It's a lot. And also, to be fair, the voice narrator who does the whole series, she's so good at the different accents and inflections, and you feel when she's talking about Winter that she is Winter. Phenomenal job. So honestly, if you ever do the series again, I really highly recommend you audiobooking at least this one, if not all of them, because it's 26 pages.
Yeah, the audiobook is 24 hours long.
Yes. 24 full hours. You know what else is 24 hours? Game of Thrones. I just did that first one. 24-hour book. It's massive. Yeah.
Well, continuing our age level of young adult, congratulations on the series actually feeling like young adult the entire time. I've read book series where they start as YA and the rest of the books are not YA.
Well, and these also came out before the new adult has started, which it's not officially caught on.
No, it hasn't.
Like YA, and it's like, okay, your character's 19. She's no longer, I mean, she's a young adult, but she's getting in some smutty situation. She's a little bit too risque for YA.
Yeah, or she's faced with things that are not YA appropriate.
Which, I mean, Hunger Games could be argued is not a proper YA because of all of the murder. But that also is part of the apocalyptic whatever.
Yeah.
And to be fair, with how much death there is in this whole series, it still feels almost light and fluffy.
It does. And we'll get into it, but even some of the worst stuff where she's trying to be realistic, there are times where I think, yep, that was a YA moment.
Yeah. Everyone's dead except for the main character getting shot at.
Well, that too. But before we get too into it, content warning.
Yeah, let's get them.
Murder, graphic violence, mental illness, blood, torture, animal death, suicide, rape, implied kidnapping, sexual harassment, needles, self-harm, gore, abuse, mental, emotional, and verbal.
Yeah, so light and fluffy. When you stack it like that, when you put all of them next to each other, it's hard to be like, okay, well, what am I missing? Because it's war, so there's lots of murder. Anytime the lunar guys are involved, it's gross.
Yeah.
But overall, you don't feel like, I don't know, Hunger Games, some sometimes when I read, it's heavy. It's hard to unthink some of those things.
Yeah.
And this one just almost breezes over.
Yeah. Like I said, it feels YA about it. Even though she's truthful in certain situations, there's other situations where, the main character is in the middle of battlefield, but she's able to find her love and they have a whole conversation while everyone's just out there dying.
So cute.
That's accurate to life. Okay, judge a book by its cover. I love the art of the cover, but I am mad that they made her purple. She's black. She's allowed to be black. She should probably be black. None of the other covers with white people did they make them green or blue, but the black girl is purple.
You and I have a different cover.
Yeah, sorry. This is the new one. The old one was a hand holding
glowing apple.
Yeah, it kind of looks cold more than glowing to me. I always thought it looked frosted.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be magical.
And I get that one. So that's basically Lavanna handing over the apple, or maybe it's supposed to be Winter's hand.
No, I cannot wait for you to read Ferris. It's so quick. Also, it might be my third favorite of this whole series.
Well, don't worry. We will get there.
I know, we're coming. And after Winter, it's so tiny. Just barely pick it up and you're done. So good.
Bite-sized pieces.
Yeah. And villain origin story. So excited.
But yeah, so on the new cover, she is purple.
Ew.
Okay. And then she has Ryu behind her, the white wolves, which kind of makes the cover look a little reductive of the second one, which also has a wolf of the same shape, but different color.
Well, and because the wolf isn't the love interest. It's literally a wolf, guys.
Yeah. Versus the second book where I thought, it's a wolf. No, it's not. So this wolf isn't a lie, but it's kind of a lie because I thought Ryu would play more of a role than he did. So I liked the cover, but at the same time, I would have swapped out some things. But yeah, this book, 823 pages.
So many.
I think I can confidently say this is the longest book I've ever read. I'm not looking to top it anytime soon. My husband's over there having read Battlefield Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So got a couple pages on me, but 823 pages is a great start.
You feel accomplished finishing it.
Yeah. And it's not like it's a slog. I enjoyed it because I liked the story, but it is a commitment.
2 chapters, because they have to wrap everything up, are almost too much. I'm done. I'm done with the book. And then there's like 2 full chapters, or maybe one of them's part of an epilogue or something, where it's like, and then we're doing this, and let's separate, and let's do all of this, and this is what we're going to do with the rest of our lives. So that, I'm done with the book by that point. But mostly it's not too long. I mean, it is, but...
Yeah, it's kind of, instead of having a proper epilogue, she just has chapters until the end. But I agree, the last 2 chapters are epilogues, because one of them has to do with Scarlet, and then the next one has everyone else. I don't know why Scarlet got a separate chapter.
She got forgotten about in 2 other books, okay?
She deserves her own chapter.
Technically, she didn't exist in the first one, but still. In Cress, she's basically not a character.
True. Okay, so my normal way of note-taking for the series, because once we got to Scarlet, we were all over the place, jumping back and forth. Things were happening in so many different places. You had Cinder's perspective, and then you had Scarlet's perspective, and then eventually they meet up. But for the most part, their storylines are completely separate. And that continued in Cress, where you had Cress and Thorn in the desert, but Cinder and Wolf and Jason, and which, by the way, I am so mad that his name is pronounced Jason, but that is beside the point.
That was the biggest, worst, devastating thing when I did the audiobooks a couple years ago. I don't know why I thought his name was Jawson.
Well, I thought it was Jacine or something. No, it's a stupid fantasy spelling of Jason.
Yeah, that might be my biggest letdown for this whole series.
I'm so mad.
They have pretty fantastical, they're kind of normal, like Scarlet, Winter. You hear kids with those names, but I don't know. You're Lunar. You guys couldn't come up with anything?
But yeah, the point is they were separated. And so that's how I did my note taking for the series. This person's perspective, this person's perspective. And so I'm able to keep it together. But not this one. This one's chronological.
Yeah.
And I didn't figure that out until 2/3 of the way. And then at that point, I was just like, well, I've done it for this long. So my notes are kind of trash at this point because it's all over the place. But we're going to try it. So we start with Winter's perspective. So we get introduced to her. This is the first time she gets a POV POV, which, by the way, our final POV head count, 10. We have Winter, Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, Jason, Kai, Levana, Pearl, of all people, Thorn, and Wolf. So there you go. Our final head count is 10. We started with 2.
Is that all the mains and their significant others?
Yeah, it's all the mains and Levana and Pearl.
Weird.
Aiko doesn't get a chapter.
I know. I want Aiko. You get a lot of her personality, and she talks a lot. So I feel like we did, but I mean, we clearly didn't.
Yeah, she's very good at just telling you how she feels.
So she got her own POV in
Cress?
Yeah, but she talks exactly how she thinks.
Yep.
I don't know. I felt like we had her in this one, but we didn't.
Yeah. So the book starts out, Winter is listening to a trial, notices Levana's upset, and a whole bunch of stuff and whatever. And so we get introduced to Winter's psychoses, because you kind of hear about it in Cress, because Winter's like, hey, the walls are bleeding, such and so forth. But this is the first time you get to see it from Winter's perspective. And yeah, that's about right. Psychosis is fun. So just like with the being blind plotline, I think the author handles Winter's mental illness really well.
I think if we didn't have Jason also being there with her, it might be too much. Because at Palace, they treat her kind of like a pet, all of the people, and Levana hates her, so it's this weird, this girl, her mental illness, why don't you just be better? But then you see Jason, and he's like, man, I admire everything she's doing, and look at her being better for the people than anybody, because she's not using her glamour.
But it's not just Jason, and that's what I appreciate. It wins over Scarlet and Cinder and a whole wolf platoon. But I appreciate, first of all, she takes it very seriously. It's not something for kicks and giggles or used in a humor setting or to prove that Winter is incapable or anything like that, which you can traditionally see in a lot of tropes with it. But it happens enough where it's inconvenient enough that it feels much more realistic versus, oh no, I'm having one of 3 episodes for the entire book. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, especially whenever her and Scarlet team up, because they are the funniest dynamic.
Oh, yeah.
They're the best little partnership, because they've all paired off. The main 8 have paired off at different moments. Well, 9, because Aiko is a character. And I definitely think Scarlet and Winter are the cutest.
Besties.
Yeah. Okay, well, one of you is just a not quite golden retriever energy, but Winter definitely is a cute little flighty bird.
Much more innocent.
Yeah, she can't help herself. She just wants to wander. She's like a little butterfly. And then Scarlet for sure is a black cat. She is full on Rottweiler energy.
She's very rooted.
Yes, she does not stray from her personality. And I love that for the author, because a lot of times, especially with this many female voices.
Oh yeah, they start overlapping.
And I was a little bit afraid because of how naive Cress is the first time I read it. And then you see glimpses of Winter in Cress and you're like, oh, well, she's kind of also very naive, sheltered, literally sheltered like Cress was. They're going to be the same girls. And the author does a very good job of distinguishing between the 4 girls. Well, Aiko, but...
You even wrote Aiko.
Yeah, Aiko is her own person also.
But this starts out, Levana, which we have to say, last book they dropped the plot of, oh, let's go to Luna. And they pick it back up in this book.
Yeah, they definitely got sidetracked in Africa for way too long.
I'm shocked that the plan actually happened.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I think the author wasn't quite sure how to get from point A to point B besides just going to Luna.
A little bit. We have to end on Luna. That's just a fact.
But even with Kai's kidnapping, it was just kind of, okay, well, this is what we're doing. And then weeks pass, way too long passes. Okay, but did you have a plan, or are you just trying to get it closer to the solstice or whatever, like their moon holiday was?
They have no plan whatsoever. So to get a little bit into it, Winter is watching the trials. Jason gets brought in for basically treason, and he gets proven that he didn't do the thing, but he still gets punished because Levana. With that out of the way, then you learn that Cinder and Kai and all the rest of them, Kai is adopting well, and the weeks weeks in between books. These books have been bam, 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 right after the other until this one, where it's been literal weeks in between.
He's just hanging out on the spaceship, just chilling.
And then they're like, oh, what's the plan? And so they have to actually start planning.
And also, while all this is happening, Scarlet is kidnapped. She is in a zoo on Luna.
And Wolf is kind of getting done. We have done the thing. Can we please do something?
We've done nothing, Cinder. Make a plan.
But no, we have no plan whatsoever.
Yeah, that part of it is really annoying. I don't know. It could have been a week. It could have been 2 weeks. No, it's multiple weeks. I don't think they clearly say how long it is.
Yeah, everyday war's going on because Levana's mad about the kidnapping.
Yeah, I feel like that's a little plot mistake.
Very irresponsible. But they're finally deciding, oh, I guess we'll drop Kai back off, which the most suspicious thing they could do. They give him a American Regiment necklace, which I thought was going to bite them in the butt, with Levana being like, aha, you have been working with them. But no, it doesn't. But there's no premise where Kai isn't working with them. Immediately, Levana knows he's committing treason left and right. Okay.
She don't care. She needs him.
And here's the thought of all this summed up. They want him to look injured to make it look like he was kidnapped. So they get Wolf to punch him once, right before they leave.
Yeah. Super fresh bruise that's not even a bruise yet.
But just one, on his face. No other ones. Okay, this is how well we're doing this.
He puts back on his dirty clothes and goes and talks to Levana, and he's like, it has to look like it's a top priority to talk to her. And it's, okay, it doesn't look like you've been wearing this for a month, 2 months.
Yeah.
That's that YA logic for you. I love it.
And so he gets dropped back on Earth. Cress has been doing surveillance for Cinder's team, and she's doing stuff for Scarlet, and you learn that Emily is still being a good friend and still checks out the farm every day.
Man, I really thought she was going to be a character, join this crew. I don't know what princess she would have been, but...
Sleeping Beauty? That's who I thought immediately when they walked into the house and she passes out.
That's true. Well, because we didn't have Cress at the point. But Thorin immediately started flirting with her, which, to be fair, he flirted with everybody. But it could have been.
Except he threatened to kidnap her when she was passed out.
Rapunzel had a lot going on.
We don't do that, Thorn. Not things we say or do or think. My gosh. So in the weeks in between books, Thorn's eyesight is starting to go back slowly. He can see shades of light, like a baby whose vision is developing after he's born. So he has his central vision, which is the first thing you get after a little bit. But now he has shades of light, so we're getting there.
I wonder if the author only did this so that she could make it a semi-realistic of him getting his eyesight back. But in Crest, they had mentioned, it should only be a couple weeks. And then in this one, they're like, the eye drops ran out weeks ago and he's still not better.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you already established it was going to be a short time, maybe the author did more research after she said those couple of lines in the last one. I don't know. There was no reason it had to be this long of a gap between them kidnapping Kai and returning him.
Yeah, just weeks of hanging out, doing nothing, going through all their supplies. But there is a funny moment with Thorn's eyesight. I appreciate the author keeping track of who knows what.
Yes, she does a fantastic job.
But the funniest moment, Thorn walking in, being like, you painted my ship? And Cinder's like, oh my gosh, that happened forever ago.
Yes.
I completely forgot about that. And Thorn is like, I just saw it.
Yes.
I appreciate the details.
Well, because it's like with Jason in the last book. He didn't know anything, and Cinder assumed he knew stuff about I'm protecting my princess. She's like, he's talking about me, obviously. How would he have known that you are the lost princess, first of all?
Yeah.
But the author juggles really well with this many POVs. I've read so many that are like two POVs, and somehow everybody knows everything, and nobody talks to each other, but they all have the same information. And no. And it's not like, it's a surprise thing. It's just quick little moments that are, that's adorable. Look at you. Cute little author.
Yeah.
Because it's not a mystery. So the fact that she puts in all this effort for not a mystery book, I don't know. I love this series.
Yeah, it's really good. So long story short, there's basically two things that happens in this section. Cinder and her crew drop Kai off, and Kai talks to Levana. And I thought the tunnels under the palace were gonna play more of a role, but not really. They're just kind of in passing. This is how all the palace people have been hiding out out from the war. That's kind of it. I guess that's something, but they get back. Oh, by the way, during the pod ship thingy, the boys, Kai and Thorn, talk shop, I guess. And Kai's like, oh, you really like Cress. And Thorn is hiding it because he's still a terrible boyfriend. So he's just going to be terrible to Cress.
It's supposed to be cute.
Yeah, the whole, oh no, I love you so much, so I can't love you. So he gets to this random safe house that's connected to the tunnels under the palace, and he calms the palace and says, hey, I've been found. Here I am. And the military shows up in spades via ship, but Torin, as soon as he found out where he was, started running.
He's so cute. He's the best fake dad ever.
He booked it through those tunnels to get to him to give him a hug.
Oh, I love them.
He cares so much. And so, yeah, he sets up a meeting with Levana and says, hey, I want to get married again, but instead of on Earth, let's do it on Luna.
I love how subtle he tries to make it. He's like, oh no, I oversold it. Because that was their plan. Let's just go to Luna. But Kai had to get Levana to think of it or to say it.
Or to at least agree with it.
And it's so awkward and clunky. She's not an idiot. She should not have fallen for this.
I don't think she did. I think she knew something was up, and that's why she's like, cool, we're doing it in 10 days.
Yeah. She likes controlling things, so it's like, okay, well, the Earthens messed stuff up last time, so he'll be my prisoner instead of I'm his guest.
Yeah, and it's decided that they're going to go to Luna.
Finally on the moon.
So of all the dignitaries going, Kai's ship is the one that they decide to board. Cinder and the team. And I get it. Kai's on board, so it makes it easier, but...
Most suspicious.
The most suspicious. So they're going to board that ship, and then they pretend to be Americans. Cinder uses her glamour and whatnot. Then they get on the ship and disappear.
So suspicious.
And of course, as soon as they get there, Levana wants to search the ship. Duh. And so the other part of this is Winter being Winter and making handmade things to give to the lowly servants and whatnot, and everybody loving her, and the flower crown moment.
Yeah.
Where two kids basically like, oh my gosh, it's you! We made you a crown! And Winter puts it on her head, but Jason immediately knocks it off her head because crown, specifically.
He knows the rules. They all know Levana. I'm a little annoyed that Winter doesn't see it, but that's part of her charm. She just, oh, the kids made me something from scraps. That's so cute.
Well, I don't know if she didn't know it or if she just wasn't going to break the children's heart.
I think she doesn't realize it's a crown. Like, it's not a big deal.
She knows it's a crown because she puts it on her own head.
No, for her, she doesn't see it as a threat to Levana. Jason, immediately. Dude knows his place. He knows Winter's place. He knows what to do and say and keep them both alive. I think he might be my favorite of the princes, or whatever those companions are called in this. It used to be Wolf, because he was so territorial and protective and whatever. And Kai, because him and Cinder have to song and dance because of being rulers or almost rulers of stuff. They have a lot more baggage. And then stupid Thorn with his, I don't think I can admit to her that I like her. But they kind of have to because of how quickly Cinder and Scarlet both fall in love. They kind of have to have somebody with a slow burn.
Yeah, but they didn't have to slow burn it like that.
Yeah, I mean, they're well established for their kiss. They definitely should have been together. So, I don't know. It's nice seeing Jason not only be the territorial of how Wolf is, but also, I don't know, they also have the slow burn because they're both clearly been in love for years with each other.
Since they were kids.
Yeah, because they're childhood little sweethearts, but they've never been together because he knows they're not allowed. She is a princess, and he knows that, and I think they're my favorite couple, for sure.
Yeah, and the thing is, when they were growing up, they were both kids of guards.
They were normal. Yeah. She was a step princess, whatever.
Well, she became a step princess. That's when it got kind of weird, was when Levana married her dad, and then she became a princess.
But she was a baby. She was a toddler.
So very young.
Yeah.
But it just felt so Snow White of her to make little handmade gifts and hand them out. But yeah, that flower crown moment is important because in part 2...
Woo! Moving along.
I am surprised Levana didn't just kill Kai at this point. This homicidal maniac was just like, no, we're going to keep you a prisoner until I can marry you. And anyway.
She needed the crown.
She didn't need it. Her backup plan was just to take over.
It would be easier to get a foothold into Earth.
Yeah, but But he's committing treason. He brought Cinder to do her revolution. Anyway, this is dumb on Levana's part, keeping Kai alive.
The logic is sound for me.
It's stupid. If you're going to just take over the world, just take over the world. Can you imagine the chaos that would reign if she murdered him? I'm just saying, she could have done it. The point is, though, she just lets it slide, sort of. And she's just like, you're going to stay my guest. And the wedding is still on, even though you brought the one person that can dethrone me. That's her mistake here. But they go to search the ship, and it goes very wrong.
Immediately.
Because Thorn is like, cool, I'll create a distraction. And he runs out. And so Cinder and the rest of the group are running to try to get to this specific exit. And they get there and it's locked because Levana's not an idiot, although she's kind of being an idiot. So Cress runs across and gets to the terminal where she can hack in and get to the door. So Thorn makes it back through the door and Cress hides, meaning Cress has been lost, essentially, which I kind of appreciate. Winter walks over and sees her hiding and not hiding super well. And so she's like, oh my goodness, look at this. This is so blah, 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 blah. Look at all this paper. I wonder where it comes from. And essentially embarrasses herself in front of the others to save Cress without people realizing.
Yeah, but because everybody's so used to her doing flighty things and just, oh, why are you excited about paper? What a weirdo.
Yeah.
It's not uncharacteristic for her to do it, though.
Yeah, and she uses it to her advantage here. Cress messes with doors where the Lunars aren't able to go back out after them. And so the technician comes to solve this issue, and he can't do it quickly enough, so Levana just kills the dude.
She's like, you got an apprentice? Cool, you're dead.
Lunars must have like 10 kids each at the rate she just goes through people.
I mean, the outer sectors were full. You just give one enough favor.
With all of the child snatching and petty killings, what is the population of Lunar? I have questions, but that's what I mean. The technician's like, oh, this is gonna take a couple hours. And so she just murders him. But Kai, who's literally brought Selene to the moon and is very obviously helping her throughout the rebellion, gets to stay alive in nice accommodations. This short-sighted egomaniac who murders people for no reason whatsoever allows Kai to live.
She needs that Empress crown. The logic holds. I don't know what to tell you. But anyways, they separate.
Yeah, so they separate.
Winter now has Cress and Scarlet, though not together.
Yeah, because they come back down later and they find her in the control booth hiding. And Jason's like, okay, I'll hide you in my room so no one will know you're there and whatever. So Winter ends up with Cress and Scarlet separately.
And Thorn somehow ends up back with Cinder, which is dumb. He was like, I'm going to make a distraction. I'm going to run. And then Cinder sees him across the way and tells him in his mind, like, hey, no, turn around.
It was only supposed to be for a little while. He wasn't going to die on this hill.
I know, but dude, you had one job and you were kind of bad at it because they immediately still found Cinder. So why'd you leave? Is my thing.
To give them a chance.
I don't think it helped that much.
But yeah, they get to the train and whatever, and Wolf activates it with his fingertips, which because you had to have a lunar profile to do this. But the fact that Levana didn't take Wolf out, I mean, I guess how would you know? But I don't know. I'm surprised Wolf's fingerprints work.
Well, they said it'd only been a couple of weeks, and most of his pack died, so how would they know that he was still active or not active?
I don't know. That felt convenient.
But how did Levana, because Kai had a profile on basically everybody. I mean, I guess it's because he's a lunar operative. How did they not know who's on this ship? They knew a bunch of stuff about Thorn. They knew a bunch of stuff about Scarlet.
Yeah, you'd think that would be one of the questions asked at Scarlet's trial and Jason's.
They wouldn't have figured out who else was on the ship. Is just my thing. Semi-related to yours.
Well, anyway, that crew makes it to AR9, which is where Wolf's parents were /are. They find Wolf's mom, and she decides to hide them because good mom. Apparently his dad died 4 years earlier, so it's just her. I have questions about how people are fed because it clearly states that she herself is malnourished and she's getting rationed, and so she's eating, but suddenly you want me to believe she's able to split the rations among 5 people?
Oh, she's not. They share like 4 crackers and then Wolf eats one and then gets upset at himself because he's so hungry. No, they are not being fed.
Yeah, but no one's complaining about being hungry. Okay. They have to stay in this tiny shack. They have no idea what to do with themselves because they're just there doing one foot in front of the other, like Kai pointed out in the last book. So they're just hanging out for something to happen, I guess.
But also, circling back really fast, Maha Kelsey, his mom, does not ask about his brother, and they both had been like wolves and taken away.
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
She completely doesn't be like, hey, yeah, your dad's dead, but have you heard from your brother? No, she does not. She does not think that they've talked or anything. And he kind of was responsible for killing his brother.
And it never comes up.
Don't talk about it. You would think Wolf, because he's got that guilt in him and stuff, he would have mentioned something. Maybe not, hey, I'm the reason, but hey, by the way, your son's also dead.
She's not going to ask where he is. You're here. Where's your brother?
Yeah. I mean, they can't all be together all the time. Oh, just because you know one gang doesn't mean that you're in every gang kind of thing.
But they were in the same one.
Yeah.
Wow. I did not notice that. Dang.
Parents in this series are terrible. You have Kai's not dad, father figure, love him. He's about it. You've got stepmothers right and left. Terrible. The only other person with an actual, because Scarlett's grandmother's dead and her dad is a drunk gross that also dies. Literally the only person who has a parent, Cress, her dad, also dead by the end of this. Not great. And then Maha Kelsey, and you're like, oh man, we love her. It's a mom. Look, she's taking care of Wolf. You didn't think about your other son at all.
Nope.
I mean, this shouldn't diminish. You should still like her, but like...
No, you're absolutely right. She does not care. Golden child status.
Yeah. And it's clear that he was the favorite, even when they mentioned, oh yeah, he got taken, whatever, when he was younger. And then suddenly my brother shows up. It's very clear that it was, oh no, he's trying to be me because my brother wants to be me. It's just something to think about because all the parents in this, the lack of parents in this.
Well, let's be honest. If competent adults were involved in this, teens wouldn't have to be doing it.
Yeah. And there are basically no adult figures in this besides the dead parents that come here and there and the stepmothers. But even the adults, the Lunar, like Sybil and stuff like that, because she's kind of Cress's stepmother kidnapper figure too, also dead. Everybody's dead. I don't know. It's just something to think about.
Yeah. Well, while they're hanging out in the house, not making a single noise except they talk all the time.
Shut up.
They don't shut up and they make loud noises, even though they're like, oh, we've been in this house not moving for 3 days. Lies. Absolute lies. So while that's happening, we finally get Snow White plot points happening. In the castle, Levana's like, haha, I knew you were faithful to me, Jason, so you will be even more faithful to me, and you're going to kill Winter.
He's the hunter.
He's the hunter.
Yeah, so cute. Finally, some Winter plot points.
Literally, she's about to kill her stepdaughter for no reason whatsoever, other than she's paranoid, but Kai stays alive. I can't. Anyway.
The crown. She doesn't need Winter. Now that she has an Earthen alliance, she doesn't have to marry her to anybody. Also, her most loyal thaumaturge is trying to hook up with Winter, and she's jealous.
Well, yeah. Amory Parks, who is way worse than Sybil. I'm still mad that Sybil did not pay off like it should have.
Well, Crest was over, so Sybil had to be gone.
Yeah. Anyway, Amory's worse. Because I could totally see Sybil turning against Levana, just low-key, because she wants power. I could have seen that happening. But Amory's the worst, and is a terrible person, and has always been a terrible person, and he's actually the reason Winter no longer uses her powers. So he's like, hey, I want to marry you, and this is the best option you're going to get, so you should marry me. And Winter was hesitant.
He's like, fine, I didn't want to marry you anyways, you're ugly. That instant, oh, you don't like me? It was a joke, I didn't even like you. You're trash.
Yeah, and she didn't even say no. She said, give me some time to think about it. And he just went off the deep end because he is also a narcissist.
He definitely would punch holes in walls if he didn't have people to do it for him.
Yeah. So Jason has to murder her, but he ends up angling it and using Crest, the hacker, to be like, hey, I need you to do XYZ for me.
Well, and he's like, I know I'm going to die. Everybody I know and love is going to die, but you know what? Winter's going to live, so it's worth it. My little heart. Everything Jason does.
Okay.
It's so cute.
We might have some different viewpoints, but at first he's like, hey, you and Winter need to run. You need to get out of here together. And Cress is like, well, actually, it would be better if I was in the control booth to make it look like an accident, just power outages. So Cress stays at the palace, but Scarlet and Winter get away.
You see why I love Cress, though. She is so cute. She's like, I'm going to take one for the team. I'm going to be a martyr, too. Look at me. I'm so brave now.
Yeah, and It breaks my heart because he ends up staging it so it looks like he murdered her, but actually he ends up holding her in a specific way where he stabs behind her and kills Ryu.
Her wolf friend. What a weird choice.
Yeah, of all the animals he could have picked in the menagerie, he picks her friend, but okay.
So many.
There was a snow leopard.
Symbolism, whatever.
The important thing here is that she is now covered in blood and she looks like she died. And that's caught on camera and that satisfies Lana for a little while. And so Crest does her thing and so they get out of the palace. And Jason tells Scarlet, hey, Wolf's parents in this one, so you should probably go to this one. Which is kind of weird to think about.
Why?
I don't know. It worked out, and I guess that's the important thing here, but...
Did Jason know that was any type of plan?
No, he didn't know they were already there. He was just like, this is where I think they might have gone, and he happened to be right.
Well, to be fair, Scarlet, because it's Scarlet and Wolf are mates or whatever, and Jason hardcore knew that because he'd been on the ship with Wolf, but Scarlet does not know Jason. They had a single 10-second interaction before she got kidnapped. She should not trust anything this man says, first of all, because he's no longer with Cinder. He's back in Levana's hands. I mean, I'm glad it works out and he was a double traitor or whatever. Scarlet, who questions and doubts every single thing any person has ever said to her in her whole life. Okay, that sounds great. Let me take this crazy princess with me. We're going to go where my boyfriend may or may not, his family might be alive. They might still be there. They might end up there, not sure. First of all, how would she actually find his mom? Realistically, if they were not also in the same town.
Yeah, I think it's, okay, I have to take this chance, and I guess I'll have to trust him to do it.
Yeah, but if she's a pilot, so she could have potentially flown off of Luna.
Yeah, and that's the one thing he does before he does the whole thing. He gives Scarlet a keys and says, hey, use this to get a pod ship, go to AR9, make the pod ship look like a totally normal delivery or something or other. So I think that's why she trusted him. She's like, cool, I have a key in my hand. I'm going to run with it.
Yeah. It's the one moment where she seems to really break character for me. Because this girl questions every single thing any person has ever said, including in the very beginning when you first meet her. And they're like, oh yeah, Cinder at the ball. They show some footage or whatever. And she like stands up on a table and it's like, you know what? This girl I don't know. You guys are all wrong. And she's like, she has zero proof.
None, just gut feeling.
No reason. Yeah. She's just like, I'm going to fight all of you over a stranger.
She's just not going to look a good horse in the mouth, and I can't blame her.
It's just so funny. The one moment where it's like, maybe not. Maybe I should question this. But they had to move the plot along. This book is so massive. They had to keep on going.
Yeah, they had to make people meet up for whatever reason. So that's how they get to the area, which is fun because Cinder and the rest of them hear the announcement that Levana makes that, oh no, winter has passed. How tragic. We shall mourn, but not too much because the wedding is coming up and all of you are required to watch. Bye!
Well, and they also don't question. They're like, maybe this is fake because all she does is fake propaganda. It's Levana.
Yeah, they're just like, oh.
Princess is dead. Sad. We didn't know her.
Yeah. And so right as they find out, right as that comes out, Wolf smells something and runs off because he's like, oh my gosh, Scarlet. And so he runs and Winter's wearing Scarlet's hoodie because Winter's super recognizable with a lot of hair and a very recognizable face. So she's wearing the hoodie. And so Wolf runs up and sees her in the hoodie and is mad. And is like, you're not Scarlet. And then Scarlet's a couple paces behind and walks up and then he becomes all happy.
I know. He's like a little puppy.
Literally, that's what he's designed to be as a wolf. But yeah, point is, as we continue moving along, now the mom has 7 mouths to feed, but they sent along a little thing from Cress and say, hey, we need to go to this random guard station in this section to plug this into the thing so we can play the message that we recorded.
But also, literally, Cress could have been dead. They had no backup plan. This was their plan.
They were sitting there for days coming up with a backup plan, and then Crass pulled it through for them, and they're like, cool. And they are so bad at backup plans.
No, if they did not have Crass, she's the only one with any kind of brains or plan or strategy. This is the second book where she alone could save them.
Yeah.
Y'all, what are you doing?
not coming up with a backup plan.
Cinder's a terrible leader. I'm sorry. She should not rule anything. I get it better than Levana. But first of all, she's a weird earthen. I mean, a lunar, but raised as an earthen. Basically told she was garbage her whole life. And now she has a tiny bit of power and doesn't know what to do with it. At least Kai was raised to be a royal. Yeah, I also maybe not going to be a great leader. Probably better than Cinder.
I mean, he's done pretty good.
I mean, he let himself stay kidnapped while thousands of his people were dying because of Levana.
I mean, they had to knock him out to do it. He was not okay with it. And he was the one like, Cinder, let me go home.
I know, for months he's like, okay, I'm just going to cook some food and wear cargo pants. And look at me, I'm on the crew.
So they're like, okay, let's go to this guard station. And by the way, while all this is happening, Levana is just ignoring everything happening because she's so focused on the plan to kill Winter. She doesn't pay any attention to the plan about the power outages. And she's like, oh, I don't even want to fix this issue until we dealt with Cinder. And wow, you mean the thing that allowed... Okay, yeah, okay.
But also, they tell her that Winter's dead, and she's like, okay, cool, I believe this. Jason's like, I burned her body and also the human that vaguely knew Cinder. There's no evidence that Winter's dead, but she's dead, I promise. And she's like, okay, cool. Next item on the agenda. Let's go. You're delusional. He kept the wolf body there, but he disposed of the two humans. Why?
Anyway, Levana's out here truly upset about the revolt because she truly believes that the people love her.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's going to be played out more with Ferris, but delusional is the word of the day.
Well, you can justify anything when you're a ruler. Oh, I made them work harder, or they are being controlled, but it's for their own good. Because if I wasn't controlling them, they would be helpless and wouldn't have the nice things that we have. She's so narcissistic, too.
Yeah, and, killing people randomly.
It's for the betterment of the whole people, not that one person who's dead. Just ignore that.
Delusional. And then she learns that they can manufacture the one plague that's not lunar resistant. And I just thought, is she about to start using biowarfare on her own people? Because of course she is. She's the worst.
Dead. You guys are acting up dead.
So while all this insanity is happening, this is where Pearl's perspective is thrown in, just to be like, oh, Pearl, she's mad because she has to do chores now. And just the complete tonal shift of starting a revolution and a war. And then we switch to Pearl, who's like, oh no, now I have to do chores.
Yeah, I think the author forgot about Pearl and Audrey until now.
I forgot about them.
Yeah. Cinder was 3 books ago.
Why are they still here? But they are still here. And so Pearl and her mom get kidnapped by lunar operatives. We're going to put a pin in that.
It's just to show Cinder's humanity at the very end.
I think it would have been cooler if the jail cell scene happened and we didn't know that Pearl and Audrey had been kidnapped. But that's beside the point.
Yeah.
So they go into the guard station and they break into the broadcasting system. Wolf basically knocks out a guard and Thorn takes the guard uniform and sits outside while Aiko programs the thing. And so they send the message out, and the message is supposed to go out 1 minute after the end of the work day. Goodness, guys, at least make it 5. Let them at least get out of the building. They are not sitting there waiting to release people like a high school class waiting on that bell. No, they're on the lines until the bell rings, and then they have to leave the building, possibly grab their stuff on the way out. No, you get 1 minute. Anyway, the message goes and all is good and whatever, except not really, because people start having conniptions, wanting to attack guards and all this, and the people are going back and forth, support, don't support. Oh, and small note, when they're in Maha's house, Winter cleans it because Snow White moment.
I know, she's gotta clean it. The Snow White moments are so much more subtle.
The Rapunzel moments and the Cinderella moments.
Cinderella ones are right in your face. And even some of the Scarlet ones, obviously the wolf and the red hair and the grandma and what big teeth you have with the lunar gift, whatever. But the winter ones are so subtle, you have to look for them a lot harder because it gets buried under everybody else having a POV.
Yeah, we've got to shoehorn in this Snow White plot while we're doing massive revolution that has nothing to do with the Snow White plot.
Yeah, she does not want to be a part of this revolution at all. Yay, I'm so glad my cousin's back and alive and going to take over from Levana, but I can't be a part of it.
Or not mentally well enough.
Yeah, and so she tries her very best to not be a part of this movement at all. And even when Cinder's like, hey, I could prove that Levana's a liar if you go on camera with me, she's like, no, but then Jason will be dead. And her love for him is stronger than the revolution.
Although, to be fair, she's known Jason for a lot longer.
I know. I'm here for it.
She's got priorities. So the message plays. Cinder and Scarlet watch it happen. Watch the people as it happened. And people start acting up. They're like, oh, we're going to kill the guards. And so Cinder jumps on a fountain and is like, no, let's not kill the guards, and gives a whole speech. And then there's backlash and they go back and forth until Maha steps up and she's like, I will publicly support this. And then a bunch of other people go, we'll publicly support this, which is great because now Levana has footage of Cinder at the fountain and she's like, cool, they're in RM9. Immediately dispatch people.
Yeah, that's not great.
And while we're at it, Levana, wanting to do damage control, forces Kai to broadcast things where she controls his mind to make him look like he's totally in love with her. And they make a broadcast and they're like, we know certain people have said certain things, but it's all lies. But anyway, my wedding's later this week, so watch that because you're going to be forced to. That's part 2.
Yeah. So much plot, but then no plot has happened so far. It's just getting the puzzle pieces together.
As I like to say, a lot of story, not necessarily a lot of plot.
Yeah.
So they start doing everything they can to start making plans in the outer sectors to get more people in on the revolution. And that's when Levana's team shows up. Maha stands up to protect Cinder, and Scooby-Doo gang is in the factory. And Aiko's like, oh no, Winter's back at the house. So Aiko slips off to go get Winter. But Amory basically has everyone around the fountain again. And I think he even steps up on the fountain like Cinder did. And he's like, everyone's going to be killed unless Cinder is given up. This woman would kill an entire sector of people who do her lumber, but she's not going to kill Kai.
But that's section 9 of the mining town.
They are desperate for lumber, no, you're right, it's mine. But they are desperate for resources. It's so stupid. But anyway, the point is, no one says anything, so they just start killing random people. And then they're about to kill this random kid. His older sister pipes up and is like, Maha's been protecting them. And Amory starts torching her. And Cinder's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. So she grabs Wolf and they go to fight. And Cinder gives herself up, but they kill Maha anyway, because of course they do. But Scarlet manages to shoot Amory in the thigh, which is the best anyone does, because before Wolf and Cinder can get close to him, they start controlling the people to attack them. Cinder and Wolf get captured and they get taken back to the palace. And while they're waiting to be taken back to the palace, a guard runs up and gives a report. And all Cinder learns is this report about Aiko, where, oh, I disabled the threat and destroyed the body. So Cinder thinks Aiko is dead and Winter's dead, but she knows they didn't find Scarlet or Thorn.
No proof, guys.
Once again, no proof of any bodies.
That seems legit. In what time? You were just here 15 minutes ago.
Didn't we just have that plot? But no, we're not going to say anything about that.
I definitely also thought the first couple of times reading this that Aiko was about to get a love interest with the Kenny guy.
Right? I thought the same thing.
It's going to be enemies to lovers because he hates that she's a android and is very confused, but it's definitely...
He's a bigot.
Yeah, bigot. So it's just like, oh no, that's just what's happening. It's not cute at all. But literally my brain instantly was like, oh, Aiko's going to find love. Look at her.
Yeah, because she's like, oh, why is he so handsome? I hate that he's so handsome. That's such a stereotype for enemies to lovers.
I really thought she was going to get, because Stars Above kind of connects the dots in the end. Some people get prequels, some people get epilogues. Aiko gets nothing. There is a story about androids in it, and I'm halfway through it before I realize it's not Aiko.
Yeah.
Oh, I really thought we were going to get some closure in that other book. You don't.
Yeah, but I agree. I thought that was going to happen. But yeah, so Cinders goes to the castle thinking that Aiko's dead. Great. And then she gets separated from Wolf, and she gets taken to the cell where Audrey and Pearl are. But when the guard was first taking her there, they said, oh, we're going to reacquaint you with an old friend. And I thought it was going to be Cress, but then it was Audrey and Pearl. And I was like, oh, you two are here.
Well, and like you said, it would have been such a better moment if we didn't know from that one single chapter of Pearl's POV, oh, some old friends, and then Bam. Your stepmother and stepsister who were mean to you all the time are now in jail with you.
Seriously, and she loses a finger, and you learn that they take a finger from her, and you find out that it is in fact the gun finger, but she has the rest of her hand. So the entire time she's in this cell, she's basically scraping away at this obsidian-type rock with a screwdriver. Just basically something to do at that point. And Audrey and Pearl just ignore her, for the most part, until Pearl speaks up and asks, "Why did they call you a princess?" And so Cinder explains, and then Audrey pieces together that Garen knew the entire time, because duh. Anyway, it's not a good moment, because they're still terrible people. Cool. You're still trash. I hate that she went 21st century Cinderella, Disney Cinderella ending, instead of the original Grimm ending.
Yeah, I guess she'll have humanity, though.
Ew. So that's Cinder right now. We're gonna come back to her, but Thorn and Scarlet managed to sneak out of the factory because Thorn is still wearing the guard uniform and pretends to capture Scarlet and is like, "Oh, I found this person, I'll take her down." And so they get out of the factory. So that's them. On the other side of the dome, what actually happened with Aiko? Aiko went to find Winter, and Winter's the best player of hide and seek ever, apparently, because Aiko looks everywhere in this house and Winter's nowhere to be seen. So she's just gone. And then 3 guards show up and Aiko's hiding. And this is the first real oh crap moment for me, because the first book was filled with oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. But for this one, she's hiding under a table and thinking, oh, good thing I don't have to breathe. The breathing's so loud. And then her fan turns on. And so, of course, the thaumaturge finds her. And so she's trying to take out the thaumaturge when Kenny walks in and tries to shoot her. And of course, it doesn't kill Aiko. And he's all, "What are you?" So at this point, Jericho, who's the head of the guard, we haven't really talked about him. He just kind of pops up randomly in this book, but villain, because why not?
Well, they already had Amory in the scene, so they can't have him also be in this scene.
So they take out Aiko, basically. But then Winter pops up out of absolutely nowhere. Where was she?
No idea. Still unclear.
We will never find out. She starts attacking, and she does a good job because she's kind of a wild card where you'd expect an opponent to do XYZ, but she just does whatever pops into her head. But eventually, he's able to hit her head on the side of the table, and she passes out. Kenny's like, "Oh my gosh, Winter's alive." And Jericho's like, "Yeah, we've been trying to kill her. That's part of the reason we're here." So anyway, Winter, I'm going to turn you into the queen and murder you. Except Kenny kills Jericho.
Yeah. Y'all, quit trying to kill this princess.
Literally in my notes right here, I was like, wait, is Aiko getting a boy?
I know, right? He's a good guy.
And he's cute. We've established the 2 priorities here. But Kenny is like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a report that you killed all these people. I just barely managed to get away with my life. And I'm not going to mention Winter at all. And you guys should get out of here.
Great plan.
And I thought this was the key to Artemisia. They're going to use Winter to get into Artemisia. No. Thorn and Aiko are going to go to the palace. And she decides she's going to take Scarlet to the lava tunnels to get one of the wolf armies to turn on their side.
Yeah, best logic.
So yeah, Scarlet and her go to the tunnels. And despite Scarlet, like you said, protesting the entire way there because they're going to die if they don't manage this, Winter just walks up, uses her hand to get access, which is a horrible idea, by the way, because cool, they know exactly where you are now. But also, why would her hand work? Why does she have that clearance? Why is she able to open a door to a training facility that she shouldn't know anything about?
Yeah, because it's not like every person has access.
Yeah, it's not like the subway system where Wolf's like, yeah, I can do this. It's a top secret training facility that theoretically only the thaumaturgist should have access to.
Maybe she just has princess privilege. She can do whatever.
Why would Lavanna give her that clearance?
Should not have. Nope, for sure.
So that's a little plot hole for you.
There aren't that many in this book. I mean, honestly, considering how massive this series is and how many POVs there are.
With how big this book itself is.
I mean, honestly, the few couple that we've been picking holes at are nothing.
We're just pointing out all of them.
Yeah.
We don't have time to point out all the good parts, but in proportion, there really aren't that many. So they get there, and it's like you said, Winter walks in and just expecting them to help, and all of them them are like, no, but we'll eat you. And Scarlet just proves she's an alpha again and orders them around. And what ends up working is Scarlet pointing out, hey, she's never going to try to manipulate you like the thaumaturgists do, because what they do is, with the wolves being so hard to control mentally, they instead condition them where if you act out, they're going to make you feel pain. So it's really manipulative. But the thaumaturgists show up at this point because of course they do, because Winter used her hand to get through the door.
Yeah.
And the thaumaturgists start making the wolves feel pain and then demand, oh, you should kill them. But the wolves decide, no, let's kill the thaumaturgists. So they end up killing the thaumaturgists instead of Winter. And so Winter has that final push to be like, hey, these people are terrible. What if you didn't have to live like this? And you could live however the heck you wanted within reasonable bounds. Thank you, Scarlet, for that last part.
I know.
So they're like, yeah, we'll do this. We'll fight with you.
So they get a wolf army. Okay.
So that's the entirety of Winter's plot for part 3.
Yeah. Not super, the hunter part is a little bit, but it's not very Snow White specific.
Honestly, it's almost Little Red Riding Hood of her.
Yeah.
To reverse the trope.
Yeah. Well, Scarlet didn't get that much of it, so that's why they had to be together. Nobody else could have been in the tunnels. Because Wolf could have gone with her. He was kidnapped, so whatever, but literally they could have swapped any of these people. But they couldn't. It couldn't have been him being the alpha. It had to be this duo.
Yeah. So back at the palace, they've been hiding Cress really well, surprisingly. And so Jason's about to leave to go do whatever guard duty he has now. And he's also terrible at information gathering because he can just tell Cress that, oh, something has changed, but he doesn't know what. And so Cress is still wondering whether or not her plan worked or not. But he's leaving and Cress is sitting on the bed and Kenny, of all people, walks up.
Yeah, because they're vaguely friends.
And so Kenny reveals what actually happened in RM9 and is all, oh, Winter's alive and I helped her. And then he warns him that the queen is going to learn about the pod ship that he gave the key to Scarlet for, because they found the pod ship and they're like, oh, this is weird. And then they found out he was the last one to use it. So they're like, oh crap, now we have to escape.
Finally. Come on, Jason.
Levana's started shutting down the tunnels because she's finally taking it seriously. And they get to the station that's still working because they still need imports. So they're sneaking around, going under trains and whatnot. And then there's this whole commotion happening and they realize that Aiko and Thorn are there.
Because of course they are.
Yeah. And so Jason helps him out by shooting, I think, the last guard. And I love it. Thorn, first of all, punches Jason for selling them out.
Rightfully so.
Which, by the way, something I forgot to mention at the trial. Jason's like, hey, I'm innocent. I told Sybil about what's happening. I was a double agent. And Amory's like, we have no proof of that. And Kenny, of all people, we find out later, is like, we kind of have proof of that. And so they end up proving Jason right. And so Jason still gets punished, but he doesn't die. And you can tell that Amory's mad about it.
Yeah, Kenny coming in for the win. He's such a major character for not being a major character.
Yeah, he ends up being Cinder's main guard. And so another reason I thought, oh, Eichel's getting a boy.
He's going to be around. Going to be there.
No.
Sad. If she ever did another one, it better be only Eiko. I don't care about nobody else's plot lines. They can all get married and have babies. Don't care.
But because Jason sold them out, Thorn punches him and then hugs him because he kept Cress safe. So while they're there, Amory lets out this huge announcement that there's going to be a trial in 20 minutes. And they're all like, oh no, we have to go save Cinder. But Jason points out it's going to take more than 20 minutes for them to get back to where they need to go, let alone to help her.
Yeah. Him and Cress, the only smart people in this whole book.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I mentioned Cinder lost a finger. Levana took a finger to give to Kai to be like, haha, I've got your girlfriend.
What a weird thing.
Yeah. Which, by the way, how kind of Levana not to take a real finger.
You know, she's like, here's this Android one. So you know that it's hers.
Yeah. But she's not opposed to chopping off body parts, so yay. But the wedding is a freaking roller coaster. My gosh. So it's the day of the wedding, and all this is going down. The wedding begins, and Kai makes faces during the ceremony and snorts at the end of Levana's vows. Why is Levana not controlling him for this? It's being broadcast.
Yeah.
But she's just like, nah, I'm gonna make it really obvious my husband doesn't want to be here. Okay. So there's this weird moment where Kai somehow gets gets something sharp enough to stab Levana. And then Levana changes her glamour to look like Cinder. And there's no keywords to that. It's literally just, oh, Levana's there. Kai stabs Levana. Cinder looks up at him with sad eyes. And I thought that would be a plot twist if Levana was forcing actually Cinder to be there, to be a prop in case he tries to attack her. But no, she just used her glamour to look like her. But he stabs her, calls her out for being fake, and then kisses her, and then they get married. What? What just happened? I'm so lost. I'm so confused. That was a roller coaster.
I definitely did not think that they were going to actually get married because, of course, the good guys are going to make it and save the day. But they didn't. Legally married to Cinder's aunt.
So after the wedding is a feast, and they're just kind of sitting around and whatever. And Levana decides this is when we're going to do the trial for Cinder and kill her. Because, you know, light, fuzzy, normal things. And all the Earthians are understandably upset because you're literally about to murder someone in front of them. Because, you know, good, clean, lunar fun.
What a nice wedding gift.
But the first trial they do is Audrey, and she's supposed to kill herself and then Pearl be given as a servant to an aristocratic family because they found out that Garen had paperwork in the storage with the blueprints of the device that can make it so Lunars can't control you. And so she promises that she didn't know anything about it, and Kai basically stands up and says, you're not Empress of the Commonwealth yet. You can't just kidnap an Earthian and have a trial for them. And Levana's like, sit down. I don't care what you think. She decides, okay, Audrey, I'll let you go if you promise loyalty to me. Cinder is immediately suspicious of this because Levana doesn't just let people go that easily, which I have questions too, because she basically just wants Audrey to dismember Cinder right there.
Prove you're loyal by murder. It's her favorite.
At this point, I would continue to war with Levana over marrying her. If I was literally any of the delegates, I'd be like, cool. So we're murdering her, right? We all agree here that we're still going to war, right? At her wedding reception, she's trying to dismember someone in front of us. So we're all going to war, right? But that doesn't come up. Once again, Cinder starts to see Levana's true form, and she does what I wanted her to do at the ball. And I didn't know she was able to do this because I thought, oh, clearly if she was able to do this, she would have done it at the ball. But no, she can absolutely record.
Yeah, but to be fair, she didn't know she would need to be recording at the ball because she knew nothing.
Still, it was a little deus ex machina of it to suddenly be able to record things because she totally could have been doing this the entire time.
Well, she didn't know she needed to. And she actually has only interacted with Levana. This is like the third time.
Something like that.
In person when she was on the windowsill and then at the ball. And then now she's seen the destruction, but they've not been near each other.
Yeah, but I don't know. There were ever times where it could have come in handy, but she makes Levana angry. So Levana loses her concentration and loses some of the guards. And Cinder manages to get a couple guards and then gets the Earthians to duck. So those guards start shooting the special operatives that are more wolf-like.
Yeah, that was a weird twist.
And the last one uses their knife to free Cinder. And in the chaos, a lot of people die. None of the Earthians, though. And Cinder jumps off the balcony into the lake, which I saw that coming.
Yeah.
The chapter starts with describing the room and is like, oh, there's a balcony with no railing down to a lake.
Yeah, somebody's going over it for sure.
Yeah, there's your escape route. So she gets waterlogged because her arm and leg can't handle the water. Why are they not waterproof? Why are they state-of-the-art, amazing technology, but not waterproof? Right now, we waterproof our phones.
Yeah.
You can't waterproof this in the third, fourth era? I'm confused now, but my being confused aside, the point is they didn't waterproof it. And so now she has two useless limbs that are weighing her down like an anchor. And she manages to swim all the way to the edge of the dome, which I have questions about the lake now, but she gets to the edge of the dome and she's like, well, crap, now what? And she's about to pass out and die when Thorne and Jason show up because thank heavens they decided not to go to the trial. They went to the lake shore and were able to get her from the lake. A little convenient, but okay. That's just probably what had to happen. And I appreciate that it immediately goes to Cress's perspective. And they specifically point out, oh, it's not because they're boys. It's because Aiko is also not waterproof and Cress doesn't know how to swim. him because she lived in a satellite for most of her life. Fair.
I just love that Cinder's like, they'll see how far I got. I might die, but you know what? They're going to appreciate my struggle. And I don't think they would have. I don't think anybody would have cared how far you got onto the bank of the water. Oh, Cinder.
Yeah. And so they managed to get her out of the lake. Jason does CPR because he's first aid certified. Let's go. Claps. Cinder wakes up and learns that Aiko's alive because Aiko's there. And so they decide, okay, we need to find a place to recuperate so you can figure yourself out. And so they go to an empty mansion whose owner is staying at the palace all week. And apparently there are no servants or anyone else in this household. So they just get a mansion free first try.
Yeah, this book has a lot of Mockingjay parallels for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know which one was written first, but it's just very hard not to see. Oh, the team is conveniently regrouping in an abandoned mansion. Or, I don't know, just a couple other little dumb things.
Well, this one came out in 2015. Mockingjay came out 2010.
I don't know. There was just another parallel earlier too, where it was like, oh, the PETA confessional tape, whatever, was very, oh, Kai is being forced to say these in order to turn the people. It's just dumb things that any trope, any book could, because I've done both of those books a lot. I mean, to be fair, any YA I will compare to the Hunger Games, but...
Yeah, I can see it. One influencing the other. It was just, there are times where I thought, okay, that's convenient.
Yeah.
The mansion is one of them. Jason and Thorne happening to see her in the lake and being able to get to her was another one. But okay, this is a YA. Just keep going. It's not bad. None of these are the book sucks because these happened. But I definitely had to pause and think, okay, that was convenient.
Scooby-Doo gang is trying really hard to get back together.
After the first book, which went out of its way to make things as difficult as possible.
It's convenient. It's a convenient tie-up.
Yeah. In the aftermath of everything that happened in the room, it's great because Levana had all of that happen, and then Amory shows up and is like, hey, the people are rioting. Levana's like, okay, well, no one can come in and out of the city without being shot. And the European Prime Minister just wants to leave, and Levana threatens to harm him. And Kai's like, if you do that, I'm not going to make you empress. Sir, I know you're trying to be useful so she doesn't actually murder you, but this is telling the spoiled kid throwing a temper tantrum about wanting candy that if she's quiet, you'll go ahead and get her ice cream on the way home.
Yeah, he's trying, but he's also, 18 years old?
Something like that. There's a moment, and I really wish Kai had taken it. As everyone's getting locked up, Audrey comes up to Kai and is like, oh, Emperor Kaido, can we please be taken home now? And he ends up saying, oh, it looks like nobody's leaving. But I really wanted him to be like, you pledged your loyalty to Luna, so you're a lunar subject now.
Oh, it would have been so good. Mic drop.
So part 4, Cinder is doing her best to instruct her friends on how to get her video recording and whatnot. So Cress manages to get that back on her port screen, and Cinder very conveniently passes out, so we skip most of the Cinder repairs. But when she wakes up, she has use of her hand and leg again, but she can't use her finger tools. She doesn't have any of her cyborg brain stuff.
She does have a new finger, though.
Yes, and all of her wiring and the new finger are from Aiko because the lunar technology wouldn't work.
Oh, Aiko, the real MVP.
So we're really raising the stakes here now that Cinder can't use a lot of her cyborg stuff.
Yeah, the not being able to see the manipulation, the little orange light, which you kind of forget about a little bit because for a while she's only around Earthens and people who don't manipulate, but it was very heavy in Cinder. All of the oh, somebody's lying. Somebody's using a glamour. It was like every other page was some kind of something.
Yeah.
But now she doesn't have it, and so now they have to point out that she doesn't have it every time she doesn't see it.
Yeah, and when she repairs Aiko, by the way, she learns that Garen kept updating Aiko's software, even though her model didn't have new software updates for years. Immediately, I was like, oh, so there's the backup notes. And also, Levana immediately is like, oh, we found Cinder's body, so Cinder's dead. But even Kai looks at the photos like, wow, that is so fake. Because it's a far away, grainy shot, and it looks like the glowing parts are painted on and not actually her cyborg parts. But even though Levana's like, oh, they're dead, 87 sectors are rebelling because they announced on the news news which sectors are rebelling. What? This propaganda-laced nonsense is going to just announce, hey, here are all the sectors that are rebelling, just so you know that a rebellion's going on.
No, you gotta keep it hush-hush.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, the new plan is to break into the palace so Cress can mess with the controls again, this time lifting the blockade so everyone can get in the city and so that they can show the video of Levana. And so to do that, and the only way to do that now is through the main controls in the palace because Levana has disabled all remote options after the Cinder video. Fair. But in the meantime, Aiko, Jason, and Cinder are told they need to lead the people. But then the news reports that a strange quarantine is happening in LW12 to go to that side.
Winter again.
Winter and Scarlet left the wolf area and go to LW12 because that is the closest one to them. And while there, Scarlet and the wolves and the people are trying to jibe together. The wolves are trying to teach them how to fight. The people are trying to trust them, that they're not just going to kill them all. And so Scarlet's trying to help with that. Winter thinks she sees Jason and runs into the woods by herself.
Of course she does.
And finds this old woman who is like, oh yeah, he ran off, but he wanted you to have these. And it's a box of candied apples that are her favorite. So Winter bites into hers and ha 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 ha, it was Levana this whole time. The apple she ate was filled with microbes of that new plague. So she's dying. And also she's going to spread it to all of her friends that have helped her, which I think is very devious and very good supervillain moment.
Yeah, because it could just take out Winter, but she's like, no, be contagious. Go tell all your friends.
Everyone that helped her needs to go down too.
So, Snow White plot point.
Yeah, so that's the quarantine, which I'm surprised they have time to announce the quarantine considering everything else going on, but that's when they learn about it. So Jason's like, no, I can't rally the people. I must go to my princess.
Their only priority is each other. I love their love so much. I'm a sucker. I can't help it. Rebellion Schmellion. Let's go save the princess again. Again.
So Scarlet finds Winter, and there's a med clinic in the area that has a suspension tank. The doctor helps put Winter into the tank, and I really liked this cliffhanger. It was a really good build-up because Scarlet asks, will this help her live longer? And the doctor says, yes, it'll help her live longer, but I just wanted to remind you, we only have one tank. And Scarlet's confused, but then looks down at her arms and starts seeing spots, and essentially goes, well, crap.
Yeah. I mean, princess is the priority, guys.
It was good. I appreciated that.
But it also was another Snow White plot point because only 7 people end up dying, and it's like the 7 dwarves in this little moment.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
I didn't get that was a 7 dwarves moment.
Yeah, it's a very quick little, and then 7 people died when I was in the tank or something.
Yeah.
But also, she's in the tank, which is the casing or whatever from the Snow White, the Disney movie. Then she's just there, and her prince has to come save her. So they're trying really hard to add in Snow White bits.
Yeah.
She eats the apples throughout. Every time you see her, she's got one of these candy apples or given one to Scarlet. That really is the main selling point.
Yeah. I feel like Cress did it better because Cress did most of the Rapunzel plot lines in the very beginning and got it out of the way. And then they had Bookclub. And then at the very end, they tied up her stuff.
Yeah. Well, and Cinder is such a long of like, oh, she meets the prince, she goes to the ball, the whatever. Her stuff is so smack you in the face with it, even though it took the whole book. But Winter's is like, oh crap, I forgot I'm supposed to be Snow White, and then they kind of add some of it in at the end.
Yeah.
But to be fair, most of her plot is just being in the corner and dusting and talking to animals. So it's honestly, that tracks. They have the hunter, you have the apples, you have the old lady, you have the tank, and the kiss.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically all of them.
So they find out about that. And so Jason, Aiko, and Cinder break into this lab trying to get the antidote. And I was concerned that there wouldn't be enough antidote, but apparently they have plenty of antidote. Not a concern here. So they break in, hide in a room where shells are farmed for blood, apparently, because apparently there was a shell revolt. So this is their plan B for farming morning blood, which is suspension tanks.
Which honestly, it makes more sense because raising a bunch of toddlers and babies and keeping them fed and alive, I mean, I know they don't care about their well-being, but
you still have to keep them healthy.
Yeah, and this, you can put 15 of them and 20 of them in a room and have one monitor.
Yeah, because they even said that it's basically a morgue setup where the suspension tanks are in the wall and you just pull them out. But they make it to the right room, and Aiko immediately finds hundreds of vaccines, even though they just found out recently about this new strain. Beside the point, Lunars are just clearly better scientists. And so they get this cart and they load it up and a whole bunch of it. And the team gets split up because more people show up and Aiko is going to be a distraction and runs out and nonsense happens. So she's gone. So instead of taking the train system or the air system, Jason suggests they just go off-roading and somehow finds a vehicle and the doors open and allow them to go off-roading. I have questions. I would think that would be one of the things locked down with everything else, but no, it's not. They can just leave. So they can make it to LW12 via the off-roading. And it's a little bit funny because there's a portion where they're supposed to get out and go on foot, but Jason just takes the off-roader up the staircase and keeps going. But they make it there to the antidote. Scarlet starts passing it down. He gets to Winter, and they leave on kind of a cliffhanger where they announce, oh, if this doesn't work, she only has an hour to live.
But back to the other plot, because of course, this book is so much you can't even focus on like, oh my goodness, is Winter gonna survive? Winter's in danger.
Cress is in danger. Cress and Thorn.
They're all in danger.
Cress and Thorn pretend to be lunar aristocrats. Dumbest decision.
Two people that can get manipulated. Well, Cress can't, but...
You can't sense her bioelectricity. Everyone's immediately going to know she's a shell. Anyway, that didn't come up for some reason.
They're too busy partying.
So they make it inside the palace, and while they're trying to blend in, another woman realizes Thorn is Earthian and immediately starts controlling him and makes a move on him and kisses him. And Cress just stands there and waits.
Well, he also tells her he loves her and is just fully making out with him.
Completely makes out with her and goes, I think I love you. And I know he's being controlled, but at the same time...
Oh, that hurts so bad.
Yikes. Poor Cress. But this leads to Cress doing the thing we wanted. The whole reason we were shipping Thorn and Scarlet is because we wanted a love interest to call him out on his crap.
Yeah.
So Cress calls him out on his crap. Get him! Yes! Go! Thorn is a jerk about it, though.
He's like, well, I couldn't help it. I was being manipulated. Okay, cheating's super cool. I know they're not together.
What about all the other times you were super flirty with women? You absolute dipstick.
Even Aiko! She's a robot! Like, what are you doing?
So they try to go still do the plan, and they go down the hallway pretending they're lost, and a guard stops them and is like, hey, you can't come this way. Great. So the backup plan. Thorn opens a random door, and they step in, and they're gonna stay in there until the guard goes away, and then they can sneak out. And Thorn decides at this point, Cress is still mad at him, to kiss her for real. Your conduct is keeping you from being not at good love interest status, but Cress calls him out for everything and again, which is wonderful, and she says she doesn't want to be just another girl that he flirts with, and that's when Thorn reveals the woman he made out with used their glamour to look like Cress, and that's why he made out with her for so long and said, I love you. This is literally the only way this could have worked out and us not hate Thorn. Oh my gosh. And the Cress, of course, points out, is like, but you said you love him. And before Thorn can state the obvious, a guard comes in and is like, hey, you're not supposed to be in here, which was my second oh crap moment. So we got two in this entire book so far, and the guards makes them leave.
Yeah, they're just really trying to slow burn their relationship. Oh, they almost admitted that they like each other, they love each other.
It's more frustrating than anything else.
Yeah.
But they walk off, try to start walking off in a direction to make it look like they're going where they need to, but of course guards pick it out. So at this point, they just plan C, run. Thorn goes off to try to provide her distraction so she can get to the control room, and he gives her his gun, and she finds a hiding place while Thorn gets caught. Great.
Their only defense mechanism is just, let me run in the opposite direction. This is like the third or fourth time somebody's done that.
Yep. So eventually, Cress exits the cabinet, her hiding place, and her legs are literally dead. So the first thing she does is knock over a statue because she sees a guard at the elevator and tries to back up. So she gets gets injured in the process. She's having a rough day of it, honestly, but uses it to her advantage so she can get onto the elevator without getting shot. Although the guard does try to shoot her, so she is very lucky. So as she's freaking out in this elevator, it moves up. She doesn't press a button, and it opens to a bunch of Earthians going down to the coronation. And they think she's a Lunar because she's dressed like a crazy person. Lunar fashion, man. Nuts. So she gets out. While she's trying to figure out what the heck she's doing, this random woman hassles her, hey, you're not supposed to be here, which works out because that keeps her in place long enough for Kai to show up. And Kai basically waves the woman away and says, it's fine, she's with me. And so Cress fills him in with everything. And Torin, who's with Kai, decides to give Kai time to help Cress. So Kai goes with Cress to the area where the booth is, and he distracts the guard there, and Cress manages to get in the room. And so she gets all her work done, but then people are coming in, and so she runs and hides, and she's in this cramped little area holding the gun, and she looks out and she realizes that Kai's port screen is on the ground, and she thinks, well, crap, I think I made the wrong choice.
Never pick the gun.
Part 5. So at this point, Kai is rushing to his coronation. Bruh. Thank you for helping Cress, but you a hot mess. And he gets admonished by someone who's a Lunar, all annoyed, and actually now that I think about it, yeah, I think she gets murdered. So anyway, she's right. I can't blame her. If I were also in charge of this, I would be upset that he was so late. But he meets up with Levana. It's fine. They start it. Levana is just the worst. Decides at this point to reveal, hey, we have Thorn. And I know she means it to be, ha ha ha, you get to choose how he gets executed later to be bad. But Kai's on the other side thinking, oh good, he's still alive. This is great news. Cress is alive, Thorn is alive, Wolf is alive. He finds out about Wolf. Less good news. But hey, alive. Okay, I think of him like Tiny from Crash Bandicoot now. That's what I'm kind of imagining with the whole, his shoulders are super big and he has to hunch forward and he has a jaw now. That's kind of what I'm imagining. But they pull out the crowns and that's when the lady barges in. Okay, I get it. But also, I knew immediately that this was going to go badly. But she barges in during the coronation and informs everyone that the people are rebelling. Levana turns to shoot the person that just happens to be standing next to the messenger. Levana looks at her and goes, is this an immediate threat? And the woman is kind of, well, no, but they're about to attack the city. And Levana thinks, well, that's not the palace. So she throws her in jail. I'm surprised she didn't just throw her off the balcony. Although I don't think they're in the room with the balcony. But anyway, it's ridiculous. Cinder and the rest of them are with the people. She's leading the charge. As they pass every dome, the army's getting bigger, really ramping up. Because we gotta end this at some point. So we have an army. She doesn't have her cyborg stuff anymore. She doesn't have a timer. She doesn't have a clock. She can't pull up maps anymore. I feel bad for her because I totally get it. Because she points out, oh, I hated being a cyborg, but I've also lived like this my entire life. This is an adjustment. So all of this is going down. She and Strom are preparing strategies. They get outside the palace. And that was the fun thing. This lady shows up and announces, hey, they're coming. And she throws them in jail. But then she gets crowned Empress, which Wolf is the perspective for this one. And he doesn't miss a beat. He just straight up is like, she looks nervous. She is not ready for this. I wish I could tear her throat out, but I can't. So anyway, back to her being a complete mess. A weird noise happens and they never specify what that was. And he tries to go to attack Levana. And he manages to cut her neck instead of stabbing her heart, because that's what he was going for. And that's when Cinder's voice plays, saying, hey, we're outside the palace, 10 minutes, and you need to surrender. And Amory walks up at this point and reports the rebellion has begun. And also we have Kai's port screen. And Kai's like, oh no, I thought I launched that recently. Kill him! Murder him, your Empress! Oh my gosh! Kai gets away with so much BS. This woman literally walked up to tell her that the citizens are rebelling, and she throws them in jail.
Murder.
Kai gets away with everything. Oh my gosh, I can't. So at this point, Cinder and a huge army are outside the palace. Cress is still in the control booth. She's stuck, hiding. Poor thing. Kai is told he gets to stay in here with all the Lunars and all the Earthians, and they're not going anywhere. And Kai knows immediately when things are going down, we are all flesh shields. That's what we are in this room. So he gets stuck there. Levana takes Wolf. At this point, we still don't know where the heck Thorn is, but Levana takes Wolf and decides to go down because, meat shield.
Obviously.
So it's this standoff between Levana and Cinder. Levana walks out and is all, I'm Levana and amazing and whatnot. And they start fighting and it is not going well. Levana controls all the people. The thaumaturges are controlling people. Wolf soldiers are getting taken down immediately because the thaumaturges control them first. The guards start making a wall for the people that aren't being controlled, and Levana's sneakily taking over Cinder's mind, and you're just at this point going, well, they're dead.
Yeah, well, and the problem is they didn't have that many gifted Lunars with them. They mostly had the wolves, who are trained to be controlled, even as much as they're trying to fight it themselves. They're physically powerful, but as far as an army goes, they tried.
Yeah, and the rest of the Lunars, even though they have gifts, because if they didn't have a gift, they would be blood farmed at this point. But they have their gifts, but they have no way to practice it. And if they were to practice it, they would probably get in trouble. So even if they have a gift, it's very unskilled, unpracticed. And as we learned from Cinder, you need to practice to get good at this. Anyway, it's a hot mess going on. Aiko messes up. Aiko decides she's going to shoot Levana, but she announces it first, and I'm so mad. Don't announce your attack before it happens because it gets Levana's attention and Wolf ends up taking the bullet. If she had just shot Levana without saying anything, she would have shot Levana.
I know, she's such a talker, though.
Oh, she is. I could see her doing it, which was so frustrating. I was like, you're honest to the character, but that was so dumb. Oh, well. So Wolf is about to go attack Aiko when the video starts playing. Interesting timing, Cress. I don't know how Cress timed things, because, she inserted it and scheduled it to play at a certain time, so I'm really curious about that. But anyway, it wrecks Levana because the video shows what she actually looks like, and now I am super interested for Fairest because you learn she has horrible burns. Something's up.
Yeah, they definitely like fire on the moon.
So much fire in controlled air spaces. Anyway.
Yeah, seems like a weird choice. But also, this is the first time Levana's seeing herself because she got rid of every single mirror ever.
Yeah.
Pretty early on in her reign, so she doesn't even remember that that's not her true beauty. I mean, she can see it, but they also can glamour it so that their hand is what they see or whatever body part. She literally has not seen herself look like this in that 10 years, whatever, however much time has passed, 15.
A long time.
The psychological damage immediately. I don't know. I love that she runs away. It's so good.
Yeah, it is a punch. And that's what I wanted her to do in Cinder, but alas, I had to wait this long for the payout, but it was worth it.
So inconvenient.
But I'm glad it finally happened. So at this point, everything is going to pot again. They managed to keep killing thaumaturges and Cinder's taking them out and whatever. Levana's gone. She's run off. Anyway, it's not looking well. Very worried, but Wolf at some point is like, hey, don't worry. Winter's coming with reinforcements. He smells them. In all this carnage, I would be overwhelmed, but I will believe you. So at this point, Aiko and Cinder run into the palace to try to find Levana. And so they don't know where the heck she's gone because they go inside and it's quiet. It's empty. It's been a hot minute since she ran in there. So they decide that obviously Levana probably went wherever the heck Kai was. So they go to the Great Hall where once again they run into Kenny. Just so happens to be one of the two guards posted outside the door that they go to.
Aiko's true love, you mean?
Hi, Kenny.
You again. Ugh.
It would have been so good. Anyway, Kenny knows that she hasn't come that way, so he suggests the throne room and warns basically, hey, the guards have a good deal here, so they probably won't switch over to your side. It ends up Aiko is told to stay and help Kai and whatever. whatever. And when she goes in there, oh my gosh, no one's in there, but a couple of Lunars that point to a door and says, they made us. Kai is more generous than I would be, realizes they're meat shields, as I said, and got the Lunars to control some of the guards so they could go to the ports so they could get away safely and not be part of this nonsense. He took a lot of the Lunars with him. Good heart on him. Once again, something to do with Audrey, where I'm just, screw her, but that's beside the point. So Aiko runs in and finds that information out. Kenny mentions, oh, the guards aren't going to turn over to your side. Cut over to Cress, who is stuck in this comm room with the guard and another tech who is useless. Absolutely useless. Because Cress is the best hacker in the world.
She's like, I would have done this in like 10 seconds, and this guy's still hitting the escape key or stupid things like that. Yeah, you definitely would have, Cress. You could have had this whole thing shut down.
Yeah. So she's curled up in a little ball hiding, and this was the most realistic scene of the series.
She gets a leg cramp.
She gets a horrible leg cramp, and so she tries to move it a little to not get the cramp because it's coming on, and then they hear her and they find her out. And so she tries to stand up, and first of all, if you've ever tried to stand on a cramped leg, it is utterly undignified. No one has ever looked good standing with a cramp. So she stands up and she's trying to be strong and use logic and stuff, but then her leg cramps and she's like, oh crap, give me a second.
No, so realistic.
It was so honest. And all this bloodshed and carnage, and you don't know what's gonna happen, and Cress is over here with her leg cramp.
I know, but she's the one I'm worried about. Poor baby.
She is. It was so good. Anyway, so she tries to logic them, and they're not about it. She's basically saying, hey, she's gonna kill you anyway. You might as well just be on her side. And they're not for it. They're sitting there shaking their heads. There's no way these Earthians are gonna attack, except for they start noticing that these ships that Kai has sent for, oh, by the way, they have bombs?
Yeah.
Forgot that. Kai's country has just been creating bombs to use against the Lunars? About time, first of all.
Well, and they're specifically for Lunars because they can break through the barrier of the dome.
It is a nuclear bomb level reaction because they're going to bomb the glass that keeps Lunars alive.
Well, and they're in different domes, so it's little bubbles. So they could target just one. So they could take out Artemisia, which is the capital, or they could take out random sectors or whatever.
But those people are going to die as soon as that bomb's hit. The bomb isn't going to destroy everything, it's just going to destroy the dome, and that is enough for death. But Kai has this whole plan that he's going to stay there, and he's going to have them bomb Artemisia to take out Levana and himself. He has this whole moment with Torin where he announces that he has recommended Torin be the next emperor. They have a whole moment. Yeah, that's not going to happen. This is a YA, not an adult. He's not actually going to do this, but it's a moment. Anyway, that is happening also. So much happens in this book. So those ships are coming closer, and the guys with Cress look down and kind of go, huh. And Cress sits there, thinks about it, and goes, yeah, that's us. That's totally us. That's part of us. The Earthens are coming to help the rebellion. Duh. And I don't know if they actively become part of the rebellion or if they just let Cress go. But Cress gets out at least. Hey. So all of this insanity is going on. Winter and Jason, oh my gosh, I hate it. Because every time I see it, I'm thinking Jason or something fancy, but I hate it. Anyway.
That's what I've been saying in my head.
Winter should not have come.
No.
She did not have the bandwidth for regular life.
Let alone a full-blown battle.
And she gets there and sees all the blood and carnage, and she finds Strom dead, which I was wondering what was going to happen to him because I was sensing a little something between him and Scarlet, and I knew that wasn't going to happen because Wolf. But still, I was wondering what was going to happen. And then he ended up dead, and I was, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, at this point, they can't kill the mains, and they don't have enough other friends, so they had to kind of create a couple. I honestly thought Kenny was going to go at some point.
No, he gets a happy ending. Anyway, Jason tries to get Winter out because he's realized the error of his ways when freaking Amory shows up. He tries to get a servant to murder them, but Jason manages to not and throws his weapon away because he knows immediately that he's going to be used by Amory. And Amory just starts this, oh, I'm cooler than you rant, where he's very clearly unhinged and bitter that Winter turned him down. He's worse than Sybil. I'm just gonna say it. Sybil would not have this energy.
Yeah, well, and also Amory's a creep and definitely a rapist.
Yeah, that's implied. That's part of why Winter won't use her powers anymore, because there was a girl that wanted to suicide and Winter convinced her not to suicide with her powers just to find out that Amory is doing unspeakable things with her.
Yeah.
And she ended up killing herself anyway.
And also Winter's only, I think she's 19 because she's older than Cinder, but she's not that old. She's barely not a child. He's liked her. He's had his eyes on her.
She's 17.
I thought she was the oldest.
She is a year older than Cinder.
I thought it was like 2 years.
Amory is of an unspecified age. All we know is he's handsome and dark eyes, but I think of him at least in his late 30s.
Yeah.
Considering how high up he is. Although maybe not, because Levana just murders them all and goes through them really fast, but at least his 30s.
Definitely picture at least 30. But it's like Levana's, what, 40?
Oh, I have no idea. That's a great question.
She was old enough to rule. She's at least 30.
I don't know. They're about to put a 16-year-old on the throne.
Right.
Anyway, he tries to use Winter to kill Jason. Wolf and Scarlet show up. Wolf creates a diversion so Scarlet can try to stab Avery, but he, of course, senses both of them because he's not an idiot. And he goes to control Scarlet to get her to stab them. Except Winter has had enough of this man and his nonsense and his terribleness, and she uses her powers to control Scarlet to stab Amory 9 times.
That's so much worse that she decides to use her power instead of just killing him herself.
But she wasn't gonna be able to.
No, I know. It's such a hard, Winter, the blood is on your hands, but it's actually on Scarlet.
It is, but at the same time, I was like, there she is!
It's a great, kill the bad guy moment, but it's also...
Poor Winter.
This one for me is hard, because Winter is she was never going to use her gift, but it literally is, if there's a gun in the room on a play or a book, it has to go off, and it's like, okay, well, Winter has to use her gift.
Chekhov's gun.
Yeah. This moment just for me is hard.
It is. And especially considering what we'll find out in a minute, because to me, I was like, Jason. And Jason thinks, cool, she's used her powers. It's fine. It's not fine. As the doctor will explain, she essentially let a muscle atrophy.
Yeah.
And then tried to use it. So she breaks. She was already not functioning great. And then she completely breaks and has a mental breakdown.
More than her usual one.
Yeah. Because the others were psychosis. They had to sedate her because she kept freaking out and becoming a danger to others and herself. Literally attacks Jason. He has a scar or something because of it. But we'll get to that in a minute. So we're in the throne room with Cinder and Levana and Thorn.
Look, there he was.
Did she tuck him away in the throne room just in case? That's all I can think she did, because she got him really fast.
Well, what are the other options? She went to the dungeon and found him?
And then brought him there? No, she had Thorn tucked away in the throne room just in case for this one scenario.
I mean, you gotta have your backup somewhere.
If nothing else, you cannot say Levana doesn't have good backup plans.
Which, honestly, to rule a country, you might need some, because Cinder has zero. Zero backup plans for every single situation. She's like, oh no, we lost Crest. I guess our plan's over now. Oh no, we don't have a pilot. What are we gonna do? And then miraculously something works out. Zero backup plans. This whole series, she's just living on a prayer.
Living off that plot device armor.
Levana had some plans. Were they terrible? Yes.
She had plans on plans on plans. She was foolish, though, because she didn't realize, but Cinder's the main character. And it's a young adult novel. Foiled! That's literally it. You're right. The whole reason she wins is she's the main character. But I don't care.
I love it.
It's still a good book.
Oh no, I fully support all of her wrongs, but...
You're so right. So, Levana tries to control Cinder, but she's clearly tapped out. And also, kind of Cinder is too. They end up just having this chat, and Levana reveals that her scars came from Cinder's mother.
I keep forgetting that Cinder, and I've done Ferris, so you do get to meet Sherry, but I forget that she's got a mom.
I forgot too. This was the first time where I sat and thought,
Yeah. They mentioned it a few times very early on. Oh, well, your mother was worse. Levana is terrible, and it's in your genes, or some kind of offhanded comment.
But I never, until this moment, did actually sit there and think, oh yeah, because it's just this whole time, she's the princess, she's the princess, she's the princess. Okay, she's the princess.
Levana's her aunt.
Levana's her aunt. Okay, that makes sense.
Fair enough.
Levana had one sibling. Yep, that's totally right. It's like Patrick's ID meme. All of those things are correct. So Cinder is Channery's daughter. I don't see it.
I don't see it.
And then click. Here we be. Yeah, this is the first moment where it clicked. And then they try to have a little bit at the end where Cinder thinks, oh no, am I going to be terrible like my mother? Too late. It is too late.
Already queen. Here's my crown. Thank you.
You're already queen. We've dealt with everything else. It's too late. But that's thrown in there, because why not? But yeah, Channery is the one who gave her the scars, so I assume Ferris is going to deal with that.
Oh yeah.
We will get there. So they play this weird game where if Cinder gets closer, Levana is going to make Thorn step back, and if she doesn't surrender, she's going to kill Thorn, and Thorn's just kind of like, do it!
He don't care at all. He's like, push me over this ledge. I can swim. Let's go.
Yeah, and because you think he's tied up, but he reveals that he had this knife and he untied himself, and Cinder went out her way to save him, and she literally thinks, oh dang, he probably could have swam. He would have been fine.
He told her multiple times, he's like, girl, you do you. I'm okay.
But anyway, she ends up saving him, and he doesn't get thrown in the lake.
Good.
But that just turns into Levana using Thorn to stab Cinder and later Cress. So a little bit, dang, he probably should have just gone in the lake. Oh well. Props at this point to Cress shooting a gun, finally. She shoots Thorn's hands, and he ends up losing 2 fingers. What is it with all our soft girlies finally having their moment just for it to end terribly?
Yeah.
Winter and Cress did not deserve this. Anyway, so Thorn has stabbed Cinder and Cress. Wolf and Scarlet show up, and Scarlet gets controlled by Levana immediately.
Because she's an earthen, guys.
I don't know why she showed up.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cinder makes Scarlet pass out, and Wolf is about to go Hulk on her, but decides not to, and grabs everybody and takes them out, because they both know everyone in here is a liability.
Oh, sorry. Technically, Scarlet is a 4th lunar. Is Thorn the only human they've got?
Yes. Minus Kai.
Oh, yeah, he's earthen. Well, and technically, because Cress is a shell, she's basically human, and Scarlet's a 4th, so she's worse than a shell.
Yeah, she has no powers. There is nothing passing in the genetic pool.
Okay, yeah, no, basically a shell. Okay, cool. Sorry, my brain. We're there.
Well, it's worse than a shell because she can be manipulated. Shells cannot be manipulated.
Yes.
So that would have been nice, but no. So Cress is in that room, the only one that can't be manipulated, and she gets stabbed real bad by Thorn.
Like immediately. Oh.
Wolf gets them all out of there. Cinder rounds on Levana, who's hiding behind a throne, which I appreciate this point. Several times it's pointed out, oh, she has debilitating scars. And I appreciate the author takes the moment to clarify, facial scars are not a moral failing. Just because you have facial scars does not make you a bad person. But Levana is a bad person.
Yeah.
And she has facial scars. So, 2 different things. She even has a moment where she thinks, oh my gosh, people think I'm grotesque, but I'm not a murdering psychopath.
Yeah. Cinder tries to give it to her, and then she's like, no, wait.
She separates it. I appreciate it.
You are terrible.
You're a terrible person because of your actions.
I know. She's like, why couldn't you just love me?
You could have not.
Not murder people.
You really could have not. And that would have solved so many problems, alas. So they both have a gun at this point, and they're both trying to control the other's trigger's fingers to see who can get who to shoot first. It's funny and it's scary. It is good, but it's just like, to be so tired and you can't even do that. You can tell it's been a long time since someone's tried to control about Levana. She is just completely freaked out by it. Ma'am, this is what you've been doing to literally everybody. Anyway, Levana pulls I give up. Gives Cinder her arm back, and Cinder gets Levana's gun. Just to find out, haha, Levana has a knife! This is why you bring a knife to a gunfight.
You always check for that second weapon. I don't know what they're thinking.
That Levana wouldn't have a second weapon. But it's okay. Even though Levana manages to stab her in the chest, she's been stabbed twice now. Cinder still manages to shoot Levana. There's this whole, oh, did I shoot her? She shot her. Absolutely. And at this point, Kai shows up.
Might as well. It's a party.
Because of reasons? I have absolutely no idea why he shows up. But he shows up as Cinder passes out. So from that chapter, we have 2 chapters left at this point. We just cut to Scarlet hanging out in a room. All that tension, all that buildup. It was just Scarlet's on her tablet getting yelled at by Emily because she deserves it, but just getting yelled at by Emily on her tablet.
Yeah, the cutscene on this one's a little...
She just wanted to get Scarlet's part over and done with. She was like, I'm done with you. I was done with you 2 books ago. Let's just get this done. Emily gets to yell at you.
Mm-hmm.
You decide you still love Wolf. They're about to have a romance on the bed when I think Aiko shows up. Like, hey, Cinder's alive.
Just thought you might want to know.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, chapter 97.
Woo!
Which I am titling Epilogue. It's just a regular chapter, but it's basically an epilogue. Aiko decides to repair her body instead of replacing it because reasons, and they're actually very good reasons. Things like, you guys' bodies isn't replaceable, so mine shouldn't be. And she's also attached. But she gets these cool eyes that I would absolutely get. Her eye color changes based on her mood. And normally it'd be concerning because, you know, sometimes you want to hide emotions. Aiko has no qualms with immediately displaying her emotions through her words, so why not?
Yeah, it was very Scott Westerfield's prettiest for me that, oh, I just got this cool surge.
From her eyes. Let me have rhinestones that tell the time, but backwards because Shay has it normal.
This one was so personality-based and very Aiko, and I love it.
I do. And she gets all of Levana's wardrobe because Cinder doesn't want any of it. And Aiko, oh my gosh, heart of gold that she has. She decides that she's going to pick her top 10 favorite, and then she's going to sell the rest. And they can put it towards building schools for the outer sectors and all this good stuff.
Her character growth for being an android is insane. I love it.
Aiko's the best.
And it's not like she was ever, crazy selfish, but she definitely, even when Peony was alive, they talked about the ball. She wanted the dresses. She loved all of the glitz and glamour.
She walked up to her in a bow. She had put a bow around herself because she wanted fashion.
Yeah. So the fact that she chose to keep her mangled body, I mean, she repaired it, so it still was fine.
But she keeps her body and she sells a majority of the clothes.
To think of other people, even though every single day wearing a new dress would have brought her so much joy.
It's amazing.
Oh.
I love her. So, of course, there's a new coronation where Cinder is going to get coronated. Cress is in a wheelchair, basically, because stabbed in the abdomen. Oh, by the way, it's okay that Cinder got stabbed because it was the synthetic part of her heart. Yay, cyborg.
Forgot she was a cyborg again, didn't you?
I wasn't concerned because literally Cinder thought as dying, I hope she stabbed the synthetic part of my heart. And she wakes up and they announce, hey, she stabbed the synthetic part of your heart. It wasn't even a cliffhanger.
Yeah, and historically, to be fair, the only time they've killed off a POV in a YA book is from Divergent. You know she's gonna live. It's her story. The series is wrapping up.
Yeah, and you can see how everyone loves Divergent, so...
Oh, God, it's trash.
But yeah, Cress has been in a wheelchair, but she should be able to start walking in short bursts soon. She and Thorn are going to travel the world because Thorn gets the Rampion. And I like how he announces that he gets the Rampion. He talks to the President of America, and he announces to Cress, hey, I've been given the ship. It's like, you've been given the ship? Well, I have to buy it, but...
It's basically for free.
is basically given to me. The walking back of it was so funny. But yeah, he can now buy the Rampion in installments by paying back the military. He is now in charge of helping distribute the vaccine. So he, Cress, Wolf, and Scarlet are going to focus on that. And then afterwards, Wolf and Scarlet are going to retire to the farm because that's all the heck they've been talking about this entire time.
Good. They deserve it.
Okay, so Winter is not having a fun time. And then, of course, True Love's kiss helps her wake up.
You guys forgot about Snow White again, didn't you, also?
So she wakes up and she's forgotten Jason. And so I thought it was going to be this whole thing. But apparently she gets her memory back real quick. She's still having a rough time of it. She plays fetch with the ghost of Ryu. Oh my gosh, my heart.
Everything Winter does is so cute. I wish we had more of Winter not in the battle type mode. You only get Winter in, oh my goodness, everything is falling apart. Everything is terrible.
Yeah. It's so sad, but also realistic. That's why I put mental illness in the content warnings. I get it. You don't get to just live without it. It just is. It's you. It's a part of you, but it's you. Anyway, so she has just decided to become the gameskeeper because the gameskeepers ran off. And so that's what she does now for momentary, because then Cinder decides that Jason and Winter should be lunar ambassadors. Goodness, that's a jump from I'm wearing shock bracelets so I'm allowed to leave my suspension tank. But you find out Winter has decided to become the first test subject for the prototype because, of course, Aiko had the blueprints in her brain and they had a physical one that they could pull out from Cinder that's broken. So they've made a prototype because Dr. Sanchez is the best robotics expert in the world. I was not expecting to get a new name and chapter 97 or wherever the heck we are.
Well, they don't know any other people.
We don't.
They have to make somebody up.
So we have Dr. Sanchez, and she makes the prototypes, and freaking Audrey gets the rights to them. And I know Cinder has a moment of, well, I don't even care about her anymore, so I don't care if she gets her greed. I care.
Also, Audrey is now literally the only parent figure alive besides Torin.
Yeah.
The whole series, every single main character's parent is dead, except for Audrey, who was terrible, and Torin, who is fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Big moment.
I would have liked a little less Disney live action and a little bit more grim fairy tale comeuppance, alas.
I definitely wish that they would have killed Audrey but kept Pearl alive.
Because maybe she could be better or something?
Yeah, she could be redeemed. She's young enough. She was mostly being fueled by her mother. Well, Peony was a little angel and didn't get corrupted, so maybe Pearl also would always be terrible. But I don't know. They had their chance in the throne room. They definitely could have. They instantly both turned on Cinder. Well, they already were against her, but against Earthens and everybody and only cared about Levana. Anything to save their skin.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, that could have justified, oh, well, now Pearl gets her dad's invention. Audrey living stupid.
So Winter's getting that, and so there's hope. And I like that they leave it ambiguous about whether or not it'll work, because my goodness, if that's not mental illness, one more thing to try, because maybe it'll work. Oof, that's real. Of course, I want happy endings for her, but I appreciate the realism there. Okay, so that's all the main people. Cinder has done some stuff where she's trying to make Lunar and Earth friends again. It's gonna take time and whatnot. The important thing is Cinder and Kai are talking afterwards because we need to know about their relationship. And oh my gosh, the most YA feels is Cinder complaining about how all of her friends, you've come together for a purpose like high school or college, and then that's ending, and then all your friends are moving on with life and you're moving on with your life, and you know it's all positive change for the forward, but you're also upset because you're not going to have your friends anymore. Ooh, oh, that feeling. Oh, that hits. That hits real bad. Oh, poor little YA babies. Because I immediately thought of college, but of course high school is probably when most people are reading this. You about to feel that after graduation. Oh my gosh. Whew, so real. The less realistic. Cinder has decided that in the future, once everything gets back on its feet, she's going to make Luna a republic?
0% chance that happens. 0% chance. These crazy moon people will only accept royal blood. You think they're not going to revolt?
But there's literally no way for us to end with Kai and Cinder being, well, maybe one day we'll get married. This is literally the only way, is if one of them abdicate their throne, and Kai is a responsible ruler, so it had to be Cinder. But it's such a slap in the face. We read 4 books to get you on this throne just for you to think, let's make it a republic.
No.
And you're not even an American or someone who's sitting there like, yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do, is we have republics. We have democracy. You grew up in a emperorship, but still a monarchy. Okay.
It's just so frustrating because it's also like Lavanna married Kai, so Cinder could marry Kai. They're the same bloodline.
Yeah, but then it would be the whole, well, we're going to spend a week on the moon, then spend a week on Earth. It wouldn't have worked out.
You don't think that phones exist?
No, I've done long distance. I get it. I mean, you're married. You just want to be with your person.
Oh, I've definitely been watching Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce be long distance, so I get it too.
Anyway, that's the end of the book. Maybe one day we'll get married. And also, Kai gave Cinder her leg back because he's been a weirdo carrying it around. And he tries to pull I thought whoever this fit would be the person for me. And then he points out, but then I realized that would probably be like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Which a little bit pokes fun at the original one because she just had abnormally small feet. But that possibly could be from the fact that she was malnourished because her father passed away when she was a small child, and I doubt her stepmother fed her well. So she was probably malnourished. Haha! That was your undoing. If you had just fed her, she would have a normal-sized foot.
I believe it.
General thoughts. So, Cinder started me off, and I had so many oh crap moments, and then Scarlet happened, and it was kind of basic. And then Cress happened, and I was more, well, where the heck is this gonna go? And this one felt more of a, geez! I had so many moments where I would read something in the book that happened and just think, oh my gosh, the wedding scene, geez, what is happening?
Yeah, there were a lot of moments where, is this real? You almost by the end of winter get desensitized to it because there's so much kind of nothing happening at the beginning and then it's all at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You can't trust that anybody's dead. Every time they're like, oh no, we lost Cress, she might be dead. And then you see Thorn pounding in the corner. It's like, okay, but she's going to be alive, guys.
Yeah, I never felt worried about any of the characters. I was a little surprised Strom got killed because I read that and it was like, oh, Strom's been killed. And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense.
But it also was like a throwaway. Nobody had time to grieve for him. And then afterwards, nobody mentioned him.
Nope.
Scarlet definitely should have had a bigger feel.
Because that could have been Wolf.
Yeah.
If nothing else, but she also had some chemistry with this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, Winter is the only one who cared, which is very Snow White of her.
Mm-hmm. She cared about her huntsmen and her wolves and her animals and literally every person she met.
One question for the author. I want her Grimm fairy tales ranked list. Because I feel like Cinderella's her favorite. I feel like she would put Little Red Riding Hood at like a C level. She liked Rapunzel, but not that much. Maybe a B. And then I feel like Snow White, she would say it's a B or an A, but not really. Not in her heart of hearts. But I'm really curious about how she would rank all of these.
Well, and my question would be, because she does have another book that's about the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland.
Ooh.
It's kind of good, but it's nothing I care about, so I didn't like it as much, obviously, as a series, because I love the princesses and the fairy tales and the whatever. It also is a weird take, so you'll have to do that one or audiobook it and let me know. But why did she choose these specific ones? Some of them are very easy. Obviously, Cinder is a very classic, easy, whatever. But it's like Sleeping Beauty was almost, like you brought up Emily, she almost was a character, and I wonder if maybe she had thought of her.
But then thought maybe there's too many humans.
Yeah, or maybe was going to do some little spin-off books. Because there's a couple moments, like with Aiko and Kenny. They clearly have such a strong bond and something is in the works, and then there's no follow-up. There's no, oh, here's a little spin-off with Aiko, or here's a whatever.
I mean, you say that, and then there are 2 graphic novels all about Aiko.
Read that and tell me if she gets Kenny, because that's all I care about. Their chemistry is so strong. The setup is right there.
Rating. I would give this Moving Away to College out of 10. That's how I feel. I know I lamented about this already, but it really did. It came together, had this big moment, and at the end, everyone's just splitting up. And at the end, I'm just sitting here going, well, dang, it's done. Except it's not. We got 2 more books, but 823 pages. It was the experience finishing the book. And at the end, and it says, and they all lived happily ever after to the end of their days. It was just, wow.
I would give this Giving Up My Monarchy for maybe love. Who knows?
It's love. Don't even.
Out of 10.
Theirs is the most obvious.
I just don't think the pressures of them being monarchs, and I know she's going to abdicate, whatever, but it's years down the line. There's no way she could, in the next few years, give it up because of how the moon is.
Yeah, she gives a very vague, oh, when things settle down. But she's also 16. So even if 10 years happens, she's going to be like, what, 26? That's pretty young.
But also, he's not going to find any love on Earth with someone more easily accessible.
I don't know about easily accessible. She's kind of hard to replace.
Theirs is the only one that I would question. But also, they're the only ones splitting up. I mean, romantically might still be dating or whatever they are.
But they're also the cutest.
They are very cute.
I don't know. Out of all of them, I could see some of the others breaking up. Not Wolf and Scarlet. They're pretty solid. But I could see Cress and Thorn breaking up, honestly.
They're my number 2 of breakup bubble couples. And then honestly, I think Winter and Jason.
I could see them breaking up too.
I think Scarlet and Wolf are the real deal. They're forever. They're mates. They're pack life. They're going to go live on a farm and eat tomatoes. His
whole thing is about protecting her. And if she's about to become stable with the neck thing and all the stuff, she's about to really come into her power. I don't know if he's the type of guy to be cool with that. I don't know. We'll see. We won't see. They were all happy to the end of their days, so obviously they stayed together. We're just being terrible, but...
Well, Winter wouldn't have powers. It's supposed to stop them.
It's her strengths are in communicating with people, and she's about to just really come into her strengths and into her era, and I don't know. So, read again.
Yes.
Sorry to say, we want to read it for the 11th time?
Yeah, I gotta go see how many times I've read Cinder. Because sometimes I would just read that one.
I'd read the series again. I'm interested in audiobooking it. You've gotten me very curious.
The audiobook voice actor for this is fantastic. It's Rebecca Soler. I do a lot of her books, specifically because her voice and the inflections. And I don't know, Scarlett has this cute little like French accent. Aiko almost sounds very robotic. Audiobook this, please, next time around.
I'm excited. So I definitely would give it a second. Although it's kind of been a second since I read Cinder. I don't know. It kind of gives me the same vibe that I got from the other Bennett sister, where it was a effort to get through it. But once I was done, I kind of wanted to start reading it again. I see why you've read this so many times.
So cute. And there's every time I read it, I catch something else that I like.
Favorite of the series so far? I still gotta give it to Cinder.
Yeah. I go back and forth on Cinder and Cress as my favorite, but I think it's Cinder.
I just love every end of the sections, and sometimes in the chapters, but definitely at the end of the sections, you have an oh crap moment. I felt like I never knew what was going to happen next. And she just does not keep that energy up, which is not a bad thing, but that's why Cinder's my favorite.
Well, and the author only is focusing on
Cinder, which makes it probably the strongest.
You get the tiniest little glimpse of Cress existing, but you don't know who she is. And they talk about Scarlet and Winter as other people that exist, but they're not real. So it literally is just Cinder that you get to focus on. And I love the Winter book, but there's too much happening. It should have been 2 books, but they couldn't have done that because one basically would all be the epilogue battle scenes.
I don't know. I think it could have been its own book, but here we be. And I do think Cinder's the strongest fairy tale wise. There were so many more things that they could slip in about it, because it really is Scarlet kind of ignores it. Like, yeah, there's kind of strength springs throughout, but eh. And then Cress was all in the beginning, and then it finished at the end. And then Winter is, like you said, is desperately trying to put enough in to qualify it as a Snow White book.
Well, and I've done it so many times. I didn't catch that there were 7 specific that had died whenever she's in the tank.
Nope, never would have gotten that.
Go read Ferris immediately. Thank you.
But have you read this book? What 2 genres would you like to see combined? Do you have any book recommendations for us? Tell us all about it in the comments below. If you like the video, hit like. And if you're enjoying yourself, hit subscribe for more. Thank you for exploring winter with us. Join us next time when we'll be covering American Royals by Catherine McGee. I'm Sam Reiner.
And I'm Danielle.
And we hope to see you and a friend here next time. Escape With Me Book Club is a Lunar Skulk production. Check us out on TikTok or Instagram to keep up to date with us. Lunar_SKULK.